Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we're live, Keith. Our global success team. We just want to hop on a quick Google Hangout and talk about the importance of the system. And you know something, Keith, this Hangout really is about everybody else. It's not about you and me. But I told you at the beginning of this, I was going to share just a tidbit about the beginning of my career and why I was able to have my first breakthrough as a home-based business entrepreneur in network marketing, direct sales, is because of the word system. And had I not found a system, a systematic approach that could duplicate other people's efforts, not just my own, I never would have gotten any success in this industry. I failed miserably my first 6 months, and the only two people who ever bought from me and joined my business, one was out of sympathy, and one made me promise to leave them alone. Okay, I was horrible, absolute failure. And once I learned how to drive a system and shut my mouth and learn how to develop my communication skills, get comfortable in front of the camera, get my invitations down, let a professional, when the time's right, do the heavy lifting for me and the presentation. Once I really embraced the power of a system, my whole life changed. Not only did I start to make more sales, not only did I start to bring more business builders into my group, but my people, most importantly, started to do the same thing. And that's the magical part of duplication. And that's really, to me, the fast track to residual income is all about a system and all about duplication. So I'm pumped for coming on here. I love what you put together with this. I know you've got a PDF for us to go through. If you are just joining us, guys, keep in mind when Keith Hall shows up to teach us something, we should all grab a pen and paper as quick as possible and take notes, because Keith has a track record that is second to none. And I know your billion-dollar ride didn't happen because everybody was out doing separate things. You guys were all on one page, following one systematic approach. Therefore, you duplicated and took a billion-dollar run. So with that, Keith, we're stoked to have your expertise today, and thanks for coming on here and getting right into this systematic approach and this PDF. We're excited.
Well, thank you, Cody. It's very good. I appreciate that. It's great to be here with you as always. And I appreciate what you said about the system and how it helped you in your career. You know, a lot of times people will come to me and they say, I don't know what to do next. And if it weren't for the system in my life, because when I first joined, in reality, I didn't know what to do next. The great thing about longevity is that the system had already been in place when we joined. And we didn't have to go out and try to create the system or create the mechanism to find success. It was already in place. And all we had to do then was just to make sure that we joined, that we did everything that the system, because the system works. Guys, if the system didn't work, we wouldn't have grown from in the year 2011, I think it was, when we had about 40 million in sales. Guys, yesterday earnings released were just released for the second quarter 2014. We're on track now in 2015 to do around 120 if everything keeps up, of course. Anyways, let me talk about the system, though, in further detail so people will know what to do, when to do, and how to do it. I've put together a slide thing, Cody, so it can help people. And the reason that it's in a circle is because that's exactly what a system and what duplication is all about. It's all about wherever you are, the people right behind you will just be one or two steps behind you on the track, so somebody can come, get on, and then help their team. So step number one is always joining the team. And each one of these steps are very, very important. And joining the team is also a very, very important time. And why do I say that? Well, once you get up and once you get started, you're going to have different people who are going to ask you, Keith, how did you join when you joined Longevity? Did you join with a $10 sign-up fee, or a $15 sign-up fee as it is in Australia and New Zealand? Did you join with a $10 or a $15 sign-up fee and buy some products and then sign up for auto ship? Or did you join with the CEO kit? And I'm able to look at people and tell them I joined with the CEO kit. And to me, the CEO kit is by far the greatest value for two big reasons. One, because of the products that you'll receive. People have to understand that to succeed in this industry, it's all about moving product. And the greatest way to be able to sell, and I always like to say share the product, but you can't go around and share the product with other people if you're not using it. And the greatest way to be able to use the product is to join with the CEO kit. Now, there's some people who are joining just because they want one product or just because they want two products, and that's why we do have the method that you can join for $10 in the US and Canada and $15 for Australia and New Zealand, then order the product that you would like. Make sure that in whichever step you're on, make sure that you place your initial order or whatever you want your order to be this month, and also make sure that you place an auto ship order. Remember, our products they have one of the highest retention rates in the industry, and the reason is they work. You want to sign up for the auto ship because no matter which product niche you're working in, you want to be able to continue using that product month after month after month. So after you join with the help of your upline, the second step is to develop your list. And I always tell people to develop two lists. And the reason I do is because there's two different ways to approach different people. You're going to be talking to some people who want to join because of the product. So make a list of 25 different people. You need to put down their name, their address, their phone number, their email address, the different ways to make sure that you can get a hold of them. But the 25 people that you can think of who would benefit from using this product or whichever product it is that you're going to be sharing with them. At the same time, make a list of 25 different people who you know of who could benefit from an extra $500 a month or $2,500 a month or even $10,000 a month and beyond. Make that list, and so you've got two lists of people so that from which you can choose for your list in prospective members, new prospective members. So after you've developed your list, and remember, on one thing on the list is you're going to be adding names to that list throughout your career. I try to make sure that I add new names to my list, both lists, every day. The next step then, after you've developed your list, is the invitation. And of all the steps out there in our industry, by far, I would say the most important step is the invitation. You are inviting John Doe or Jane Doe to learn more about Youngevity, its products, or the opportunity. You have the attention of that person in reality at the very maximum for about 30 seconds. And so in that invitation, in that 30-second time period, you have to be able to share with John or Jane Doe why it is you want them to learn more. And that's all you're really, when you know that the main reason behind the invitation is to teach people or to ask people to learn more either about the product or the opportunity. So as I said, one of the greatest ways to make sure your invitation becomes like the greatest thing you've ever had for you is write it out. Write out your invitation. Now, as you write it out, you're going to be surprised. You'll probably end up writing 2 or 3 pages. And as I said, the invitation shouldn't be any longer than 30 seconds. So as you've written out those 2 or 3 pages, what you're going to want to do is to go in and scratch some things out. And you may even add a little bit, but you want to narrow that down to where it's about that 30-second time. Then, after you've got it down to what you think is perfect, memorize it. Memorize it to the best of your ability. And the reason I say that is memorize that so that when you're out on the street and you see a friend, when you're on the phones and you're talking to someone, you don't have to sit there and think, oh my goodness, what's my invitation? You already know it. And then at that point, you can deliver it from your heart. After you've memorized it, the next step is to take your telephone or to take a recording device and take a picture of yourself, or recording of yourself, I should say, giving the invitation to the telephone. And then I want you to watch that. And I want you to find out if you would accept that invitation. You're sitting there giving it to the telephone, and then you play it back and you look at it and say, would I accept that invitation to learn more by what I just saw? And if the answer is no, then it's time to include your upline, and he or she will be able to help you with some different ideas or words of different things like that. But once you have the invitation to learn more about Youngevity down, then it's time to make sure that every day you extend 5 invitations to 5 different people every day. I shouldn't say 5 the same, but just 5 invitations a day. I always try to tell people it's 5 a day, 7 days a week, inviting people to learn more about Youngevity, its products, and the opportunity. Once you have them, and they've said, yes, I'd like to learn more about these amazing products, or I'd like to learn more about the opportunity, then it's time for the presentation. And the presentation is where a lot of people get a little bit nervous and everything. And I always tell someone, you don't have to give a presentation on your own. There are enough great presentations that you can find live on Google. There are great presentations that come from the company. You can put a disc in and play for your friends and neighbors, or send a link to them. Then also, there may be a meeting in your local area that you could take your friends to, or maybe it's an upline that you call, and with a 3-way call, you and your upline are giving that presentation. But after that presentation, and usually it's towards the end, step number 5, the close. And you know, of all the different steps, this is the step that people seem to want to shy away from, but it is when you're asking them to come and join with you on your team, or to come try the products, or to get started building that residual income check. It's very interesting. A few years ago, the National Manufacturers Association, they did a survey. And they did a survey of people that were in actually a mall. And they watched people that would walk into a store and out of a store without buying anything. And they asked them the question, we saw you go into the store, you looked like you were ready to buy, you walked in, you didn't buy, why? And the answer, over 70% of the time, was simply, nobody asked me to buy. It wasn't that there was an overpowering sales agent that was trying to get me to buy. The number one answer, by over 70%, was people never asked me. in the system, it is so important that you make sure that you ask them. And one thing um, about that is if you're in the middle of the presentation and somebody gives a buying signal like, you know what, Keith, this is the greatest opportunity. Instead of me rushing to try to finish the presentation, I need to do the close right there. Now, I need to give them the other information later, but I need to make sure that I move straight to the close to where I'm signing them up and having them then go through the process where they either buy the CEO kit, which is the preferred method, or the $10 or $15 method, depending on which country you're in. Finally, the strategy session. The strategy session is something that we've developed, or I should say I developed after many, many years in the industry. And the strategy session is built so that you can help that new distributor who just joined, you can help them with their goals, their dreams, their desires. You'll find a copy of the strategy session at ourglobalsuccessteam.com. It's a list of questions so that you can find out their dreams, their goals, and then it's your turn to help that person make sure that their dreams and goals in life come true. Because if you help them make sure their dreams come true, they'll stay with you for life. Guys, right after that, it starts right back over because they then have joined the team. And after they've joined the team, what happens next? Then that new person is going to start and they have to develop their list. And they need to develop their invitation. And then they need to decide which presentation they're going to take people to. They need to make sure that an upline or someone, if needed, but they need to make sure to ask for the close, give them the strategy session, they're join the team. It turns around and around. It is the exact thing, Cody, that I love to call duplication. I know that the duplication system that we have in Youngevity, it works. I joined just over 16 months ago, and already I have thousands of people in my downline. And it's not because I did anything great or I did anything amazing. One of the first things I did when I joined Youngevity is I went to my upline and said, what is the system? And my upline directed me and told me about the system. Guys, it works. It's duplication at its very, very best. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking a few minutes to join with us today as we talked about the system. Again, put it into play in your life because it will help you know what to do next, and you'll always be able to teach the people in your downline because then they will start teaching people and it just becomes, it goes viral and great things happen for you and your team. Cody, do you have any last words of wisdom you'd like to share?
Just, Keith, this has been an amazing ride. I never expected in 16 months of effort to see the kind of growth that we've had at Youngevity and within our global success team. It's been amazing. We feel blessed. We want to say thank you to each and every one of you and follow the system. I mean, I think the most important thing to understand is you know, like he said, you don't have to know how to do the presentation. Okay, maybe you know you're making your list. You're constantly adding your, like I wrote down here, you're 25 on your product that Keith mentioned. You're 25 on your chicken list. Well, that's how I started. As I continue to grow as a networker, like Keith, have we marketed? Have we advertised? Have we ever ran an ad in some sort of a publication? Absolutely. Okay, that's what you do. But everyone's got to start somewhere, and the majority of people have more time than money when they get started in their new home-based business venture. And we have what's called a sweat equity approach here. And if you take this sweat equity approach, I've proven it, you will develop your skill set, you can become successful, and you don't have to be an expert overnight in anything. All you got to do is be an expert at making sure you get those invitations out, you keep things simple, and you follow this system and teach your people how to do the same. You don't have to be the expert of anything. And quite frankly, if we had to wake up tomorrow and have Keith's resume, most of us would quit and fail before we even get started. It's just not possible for me to be Keith, not only overnight, but even in the next 20 years. You just have different skill sets that I don't. Just like many of you watching this webinar right now. You have skill sets that Keith and I don't, but we can all focus on the same systematic approach so we can have success. And I think that's what this is all about, Keith, and I really think that this is invaluable. And I appreciate you coming on here and doing this, buddy.
Cody, thank you very much. You're very, very kind. And to everybody out there, I want to make sure that you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that first, we are involved in the greatest industry in the world today. But what makes the opportunity at Youngevity so strong is not only are we involved in the greatest industry in the world, but we are involved with the greatest company in the greatest industry in the world. The opportunity is limitless. We look forward to helping you, working with you, and with that, I say thank you very much, and thank you for joining us today.